So how do you remove estate tax lien from your credit report? In this video, I'm going to show you step by step through this whole process. This is actually kind of a fun thing because you can apply this to a lot of things. And I know you're thinking to me, how can estate tax lien be fun? Well, it's not going to actually open your eyes up to a whole system out there. By the time I get done with this video, not only will you learn how to remove this from your credit report, you will also learn how to remove other derogatory items, big word alert, derogatory items from your credit report. It also looks this, because we get a little conflict here. You got to keep your credit right. Okay, you want to get to the point where you are your own bank. So if you're constantly beholding to your credit because you're making bad choices, that's a whole different conversation. You have to keep it right so that you can utilize it later on should you get into a leverage situation. By the time I'm done with this video, I'll show you how to do everything on that, okay? Oh, by the way, stick around. At the very end, I got a little gift for you that'll help you through this whole process. And it's just my gift for watching the whole video and what have you. If you like it, thumbs up and all that good stuff and share it. So let's get right into it. First of all, how do you remove a state tax lien from your credit bureau? I'm going to tell you this. A car late pay, a credit card late pay, all of those things are there. It's going to work very similar. A state tax lien will not be removed from your credit report, number one, until it's paid. Okay, now either you're going to have to pay it or you're going to have to make arrangements, because I had a state tax lien one time that wasn't mine. So I had to make arrangements to make sure it didn't become mine. It wasn't on my credit report, but they were saying I owed money that I didn't owe. So that's the first thing. If in fact you do owe it, the only way out of that is to pay it. But let's just talk about your credit report. This is a really good video to talk about just how credit reports work as a whole. As a tax lien and tax deed investor, you need to know this. I'll give you a for instance. I have a property that I need to put a new roof on. Okay, I saw it called several roofing companies. They are all within a couple of $1,000s of each other. 14, 15, 15, 1, right in that area. But one roofer, nationally recognized, all that good stuff. I said, why are you $1,200 more? He goes, here's the deal. We're a bigger company. We're going to do it more quickly. We're going to get to the job a lot quickly. There's a couple little add-ons that we will add if we find things, because unfortunately, once we rip up the roof, we might find some things. You may or may not need this. That's kind of nice to know. But more importantly, you're doing this property and selling it. We can set you up with financing where you make no payments for 6 months. I'm like, in. Because I want you to think about that. By the time the 6 months is going to happen, I'm selling the property and the proceeds come out of there. That's worth a lot because it's not taking $16,000 of my operating capital. The way I can do that is because my credit's good. Okay, so here's something I learned a long time ago. Bear with me because there's a little bit of a story here. Back in 91, one of my coworkers came up to me, and we'll call him Bob for this conversation. And Bob comes up to me, and we were just talking over our cubicles. I was working at New York Life. He was working at New York Life. And he was trying to get a minivan. That's when minivans were still all the rage. He just gotten married, combined families, blah, 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 blah. In other words, he had a divorce before that. It wasn't a good one. And there were some business dealings with an ex-partner that went bad. His credit was horrible. He's like, look, most of this stuff isn't even mine. It's from the business and all this stuff. He goes, I can't even get a car. I just took it upon myself, not per his direction. I started going to these obscure bookshops. Remember, the internet didn't exist back then. And there were these bookstores around that had unusual subjects, if you will. And I started finding information on the credit reporting agencies. You got TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, I think was even back then. I can't remember, but those were the big three. One of the things I learned is, first of all, the credit reporting agencies, you kind of think about it and you go, well, duh. They're private companies selling information about you to other organizations. So when you go into a car dealership and they pull your credit report, they're paying the credit bureaus to supply them with your history. It better be accurate. So I think it's called the Fair Credit Reporting Act of 1975, I think it was. Anyways, this, again, I'm dating myself, we're going through this. But I've realized that if you challenge some of this stuff on there, they are obligated to look into it because the credit bureaus really don't care. They don't sit there and monitor everything. They just report back what's been reported to them and they sell it to the general public. And they become extremely powerful based on a consumer-based economy that we have. What a lot of people think is, oh, they're the agencies. No, 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 no. It's not true. I keep track of my credit super accurately, and I do this because what happened with Bob. So what I did is I went in there and I said, hey, Bob, let's go through these items on your credit report and let's challenge each one of those. Keyword challenge. This does not belong on my credit report. Please remove it. So what happens is by law, they have 30 days to get a hold of Visa, MasterCard, Bank of America, who is ever reporting that late pay or whatever the deal is, and say, hey, you got 30 days to prove that what you said is true, that they were late back in April or whatever the case is on that. If they don't prove it within 30 days to TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, whoever that might be, by law, they have to remove that off. So I started attacking his credit report, meaning we kept sending letters. And this is back in the day. There wasn't the internet and stuff like that. I'm going to catch up to that in just a minute. And we changed his credit reporting, dramatically. It was literally flipped over within about 3 to 4 months. I don't think you're going to have to take as long as that. But that's one thing to understand. So if there's a state tax lien against that, you can just challenge it. Hey, that's not mine, that's not mine. They have to send a letter to the state and saying, is this really there? So somebody at the county state's going to have to say, yes, it is. So again, there's a lot of companies out there. Blue Water, I think it's up in Sacramento. You can look them up online. They have some information on that, but there's companies that you can pay very nominal, like $100, $150 a month, and they'll take care of this stuff for you now, and then help you clean up your credit. And it really is helpful because you know for a fact going in there that your credit score is going to be of a position that when you need it, it's always there. Okay, this is crucial to understand. So this is one way to make that happen, but this works with everything. I've seen so many things taken off a credit report and have somebody's credit report number go straight up. If your credit score is less than 700, you need to work on it. Okay, you really do need to work on it. 800, I call that the unicorn, and they don't exist. Although I've seen people with 800, that means they're not utilizing their credit, which is okay. I don't care where you're at. My credit score hovers between 720 and 780 in that area. I'll use a bunch of it, then I'll pay it all off. Then I'll use a bunch of it because I use my credit cards for my projects. So I have at any given point $300,000 to $400,000 in available credit on my credit cards, and I float those from credit card to credit card. So in other words, this project is being for the rehab on this one. Maybe they're often 0% or 14%. It doesn't really matter what the rate is because again, kind of like the roof that I was talking at the very beginning, I'm going to be paying this stuff off anyways. So if I have to pay 3 or 4 month payments, okay, what everybody gets caught up in, I'm not going to pay 14%. Okay, you're only paying it for a couple of months. You're not doing a 30-year amortized loan over it. It's just for a couple of months on that. So you might have to pay $200 or $300 just for the privilege to have that, but that's better than splitting the deal with somebody because they come up with the financing on the rehab on that. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So not wanting to pay some interest on a credit card would be the equivalent of saying, well, I don't want to buy 2x4s because it costs me money. You've got to bake that into the cost of doing the rehab. So if I'm doing a rehab on a property and I'm using $30,000 in credit cards and I've got to make 4 or 5 payments on that over a 4 or 5 month period of time, bake it in there. Now I would double that number. If I think I'm going to be out of this deal in 6 months, I'd make it a year. Under promise, over deliver. That way, if something goes on, do I have the means to make this happen and go from there? Even if you change directions on that particular project. So let's say that I change directions on it and I stop paying on that property, okay? Or I'm not going to sell that property. I want to go ahead and refinance, pull the cash off and pay those credit cards. Everybody wants to do this. I love this stuff. So listen, this is my free gift to you. So what I've got is a brand new course specifically on tax liens and tax deeds and how to use the credit we just talked about. This is my gift to you. All you have to do is hit SaenHigginsMethod.com. Hit the link down below, do the deal, type it into your internet there, and it's my gift to you. This is Saen Higgins saying good luck and God bless. See you.